Well, Jack Hart posted something about.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Oak Harbor City Council. Mayor Bob Severance will not be with us this evening. So I will now call this meeting to order. As usual, we have a regular meeting starting with the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation will be led by Brian Haynes, worship pastor of Family Bible Church. Pastor Haynes.
Thanks. Please join me. God, we come before you this evening, and we ask that you would give wisdom to this council as they make decisions, as they listen to the city and its people. May you give them wisdom as they think upon the things that are brought to them today. We pray for our city. We pray for our military. Pray that you would keep them safe and watch over them. We pray for our first responders. Pray that you would watch over them and keep them safe as well. God, we thank you for this evening and pray that you would be present in every decision made. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now moving along for excused absent council members. I see Council Member Jim Campbell is not here with us tonight. Was the council wishes? Mrs. Munns?
I move we excuse Councilman Jim Campbell.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Munns, seconded by Mr. Servatius to excuse Council Member Jim Campbell for tonight's meeting. Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Carried. Thank you. And now we move along to the approval of agenda. Any deletion or
Mayor Pro Tem.
addition?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, I would like to add an agenda item to item number 11. And the motion is to add an executive session at the end of this agenda to consider potential real estate acquisition and negotiations related to the transaction.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thanks.
Moved by Mr. Umberg, seconded by Mr. Servatius, to add an executive session to the end of this agenda, consider potential real estate acquisition and negotiation relating to that transaction. This will be added to item number 11. Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. It passed.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Servatius.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem, I would move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second?
Moved by Mr. Servatius, seconded by Mrs. Munns, to approve the agenda as amended. Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. It passed. Now we have two presentations this evening. The first one is honors and recognitions. This will be an employee service recognition for Eric Hannan, Public Works, for his service of 10 years. To make the presentation is Public Works Director Kathy Rosen.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. If I could have Eric join me up here, please. So Eric started his career as a Park Specialist 1 on January 1st of 2007. He obtained his Bachelor's of Science degree in horticulture from Oregon State University and had, prior to coming to the city, spent many years working in the maintenance of golf courses. He's involved in all aspects of the park's maintenance, including grounds and landscape maintenance and installation, repair of playground equipment, parks building construction, remodeling, and repair projects, and many other special projects. In addition, he also assists with the many special events that take place in our parks. And his knowledge of irrigation system repair and operations and turf grass management is his forte and is extremely useful for our Parks Division. Helps our parks look nice. He's very organized and moves easily from one task to another with minimal supervision. And he has served our department very well. He served as the chair of the Public Works Safety Committee for a year, and he represents our department on the city's Wellness Committee. Please join me in congratulating Eric on his 10 years with the city.
Thank you.
And I think
Mr.
he has
Eric
some family
Hannon.
members here he might want to introduce.
Yes, to see your family here. Introduce your family.
Got my wife, my 2 kids. I have Jen, Lola, Jake, my mom, Cheryl, my sister Kristen are all here. So, just want
Thank
to
you
say
all.
it's been a pleasure the last 10 years to work for the city. I really appreciate it. So,
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
Thank
much.
you for your service to the city.
Thank you.
Our next presentation is the community presentation. This is the annual Oak Harbor Chamber of Commerce presentation to be presented by the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, Ms. Kristen Creed.
Thank you so much. I want to bring to your attention, there's a packet in front of you from the Chamber. It has in it a report that we gave to our members this year, or just past year on 2016. It also has the new rack card, a Welcome to Oak Harbor brochure that's new this year, and an events comparing 2014 to 2016 for our community and for Chamber members. Some of this I'll touch on in the presentation, but if I go too fast, you'll have it in front of you. As most of you know, we wear 5 different hats. We are certainly a membership-driven organization and have paying members that are members of the Chamber of Commerce. We run a visitor information center. We run events and festivals in the town, in the city of Oak Harbor. We have community partnerships, and we do the marketing for the city of Oak Harbor. We are funded through 5 different sources. One is our membership dues, one is sponsorship, one is fundraising, in-kind donations, and then obviously the grants that we receive. First, I want to talk about membership. We pride ourselves with being the best, the largest networking opportunity in Island County, being the largest chamber. Visibility, advocacy, and resources for our membership. Membership programs, there's a few new ones this year. Member mentors, we take someone like Dan Ollis from Woodby Coffee and we partner him with someone like Sean Callahan from Cootville that's opening a business, and we give them conversation and coffee, and we have member mentors in that program. We have over 35 ambassadors that are volunteers to help out at events and activities at the Chamber. We have something called Chamber University. If any chamber member of any chamber throughout Island County takes any kind of workshop through WorkSource or through the library or the college, they can get some special recognition through their Chamber of Commerce. We also newly just started a legislative committee which will address issues that are coming down from Olympia that address small business, that have impacts on small business, and will actually be advocates and lobbyists for what we would like to see or not like to see in Olympia. We have a business breakfast quarterly, which brings business topics to members. We have a scholarship program. This past year was a $1,000 scholarship to an Oak Harbor graduate. We hope to grow that and have a business scholarship for every high school in Island County. We have something called Light Up Oak Harbor, as hopefully you know, that all the white lights all over light up Oak Harbor. And then Frozen Fridays is a contest every Friday throughout the summer where a sponsor pays for frozen mochas to be taken to a business that wins a little contest. So the ones on the left, on the right-hand side are the normal ones that we've launched or are continuing with. INDOC, of course, is one of the most popular for our members, where we get to give a presentation to NAS Woodby. And let's see. Visitor Information Center. So in case you haven't been at the chamber, which I think most of you have, it's gone through this fabulous little overhaul. We've gotten new flooring put in last year. We had a paint job on the exterior this year. All the lights have been replaced. All the landscaping has been touched up and revamped. A lot of that came from donation or in kind. We are responsible for tourism packets and relocation packets sent by snail mail, actually, to people visiting or wanting to relocate or visit here. And swag bags to any group that's visiting. We will supply them a swag bag that says, "Welcome to Oak Harbor," and all the things to do in Oak Harbor. I forgot the Wow Wagon. So the Wow Wagon is getting a revamp this year. It's getting rewrapped. It says tours on it, and we're having it rewrapped. It was located in over 30 locations throughout the island on weekends over the summer. Sometimes it was in 3 different locations of events going on throughout the summer. So it's getting a little facelift also. Our new website launched this past year. We took from one of the best, most visited websites in Washington State, and that would be Leavenworth. We took that website, we took it to our IT guy, and I said, "This is what I would like to do, and we don't have a lot of money." And he said, "Okay, let's see what we come up with." So this was the relaunch. We're really proud of it. We think it's user-friendly. Very pleased with it. Outdoor Enthusiast Paradise. We're still toting ourselves, as you'll see in the brochure and the rock card, as the Outdoor Enthusiast Paradise. We learn in marketing that you sell what nobody else has, and we live on a beautiful island, and not very many people can say that. So we're pretty proud of that. Events, as you know, we've always done Holland Happening and 4th of July. This past year, we launched crab cakes and cocktails, had the mayor and Councilman Servadius as guest bartenders. We launched our golf tournament, which the proceeds of that paid for New Year's Eve fireworks show. Military Appreciation Picnic was a wonderful partnership with Navy League. Military Appreciation Month. We showcased all our members that give a military discount. And then just recently, Island Ice launched in rain and sliding sleet, and it launched, and we were really pleased with it. So those are some of the events. We also are partners with many. There's a few on this list, but we're partners with very many events going on. St. Patrick's Day Parade is one of them. The Yoga Fest is one. Music Festival, the Veterans Day program with partnering with Navy League, and in addition to numerous other co-sponsorships. Community partners, the City of Oak Harbor is probably the largest partner that we have. Without the funding that you guys give us, we couldn't do this. We couldn't go shatter the ceilings of expectations of what the chamber's capable of doing, and I'm so proud. The marina, Chris has been just phenomenal to work with, all the chambers. NAS Woodby, there's not a question. When I have somebody come into town and they want to tour NAS Woodby, you call Tony Poppin, he said, "When do you want to do it?" So it's just wonderful to have that kind of partnership. And there's a lot of them on there. But anyway, we're so proud of that. Marketing grants, as you know, this is huge to us, and when you're trying to market to 5 different generations, it's challenging, and we love the challenge. So here's a couple of the ads that are in publications, but we have a new one to show you, something that just got released. Oh, let me go back. Can we show it now? There we go. This is being released in our cinema. We realize that we have 500 members of this Chamber of Commerce, but we have 22,000 people in Oak Harbor. So this commercial is playing in the Oak Harbor Cinema right now, and it's playing periodically throughout Seattle in their cinemas. So that's a little taste. Marketing, the cinemas, the digital presence on the ferries is pretty exciting. The rest area and rack cards, the samples in front of you. Some publications. We're working on that billboard on Sharp's Corner and partnering with one of the hotel lodges here. And obviously digital media is pretty huge, so marketing on Facebook and whatnot. So I want to thank the City of Oak Harbor, but first, there's someone that I've worked with throughout this year, the last 2 years. It's been an absolute pleasure. He's put up with my hyperness. He's put up with me complaining that lights didn't work and I didn't know what to do with this and what am I going to do about that. And I just want to thank him from the bottom of my heart. A certificate of appreciation to Hank Knightum. It's an absolute pleasure to work with you. Thank you. Thank you. I would be happy to take any questions. I will add one more thing. We had a serious strategic planning with our board of directors, and we're coming up with a brochure that has a strategic plan and an annual information, where our funds are spent, how they're spent in a short form, what the goals are of the board in true strategic planning form. So we're really proud of that. That'll come out by the end of January. So do you have any questions? I
No, I
raced
don't
through
think-
it. That's why it's in front of you, because I talk too fast.
I would like to thank you, Ms. Krieb, and your staff for running the Chamber of Commerce. Excellent job for bringing in, attracting tourists and promoting the city of Oak Harbor and bringing special events to the city of Oak Harbor.
Thank
More
you.
recently, last month in December, bringing the skating rink in the
Yes.
Windjammer Park.
Thank you.
Excellent job.
Thank you very much. May I also say thank you for the extension of our 2% grant for operations. That's huge. That lets our mind set at ease that we can just move forward with our strategic plan. I am so grateful. The board is grateful. The staff is grateful. It's really cool. We're in a great place. Thanks to you guys. Thank you.
Any comments, questions from the council?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Krieb. And now we go to our citizen comment period. Citizens may comment on subjects of interest not listed on the agenda, or you may comment on the items listed on the consent agenda. To ensure that comments are recorded properly, state your name clearly on the microphone, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. The floor is now open for comments. Second call. Third call. Public comment period is closed. Item number 4 is consent agenda. Anyone from the city council would like to pull any item? Ms. Hyson? We got Ms. Hyson.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Could you repeat it? I'm sorry.
I moved to approve the consent agenda as presented.
In
No, no second.
the hear a second? No? Go ahead, Ms. Stamberg.
I would like to make a motion. I would like to pull agenda item 4F, please.
Okay. Mrs. Muntz?
Thank you. I'd like some clarification and pull agenda item 4D, please.
4D, so you want to pull out also 4D.
Yes, please.
Any other ones? So if there's no objection on the rest of the consent agenda, it is approved as presented, as written. So for consent agenda 4C, Mr. Humberg?
I had
D.
4F, and
Is
Ms.
that
Muntz had
4F?
4D.
Okay, so it's 4F.
4F.
Go ahead, Mr. Humberg.
I have some questions regarding the Freers and Peers report, and the fire chief was kind enough to spend quite a bit of time with me this afternoon on that, and I would like to make a motion that a consent agenda 4F be postponed and be placed on the February 21, 2017 agenda, and that the fire department's consultant Freers and Peers, and I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, be present to answer council member questions regarding their report. There's a copy for you.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Moved by Mr. Armberg and seconded by Mrs. Munns to postpone consent agenda item 4F and be placed on the February 2017, February 21, 2017 agenda, in that the fire department's consultant, FEHR and PEERS, be present to answer council members' question regarding their report. A question, Ms. Heisen?
I do have a question.
Sure.
And I'm addressing you, but I suppose my question is really for Councilmember Almberg. This consent agenda item, we've already approved. We're just extending the due date on something we've already approved. So I'm a little confused as to why there are questions now, or what they might be, especially before the study has been completed. That's my question.
Mrs. Munns?
Mayor Pro Tem, my questions were that February will be a year, and I haven't seen anything about what they've done or what questions. Part of the questions were the feasibility. If instead of building a new station, what if they rerouted some of the traffic patterns? Or maybe they made some adjustments to how the shifts were. You know, just because you build a new building, right now I don't see that we have the money to staff it with 4 permanent firefighters or the equipment. But the feasibility is supposed to go through that's the last resort. And we've gotten maybe little tidbits, but it's a year and there's nothing. It's just saying extend it for another year and pay them some more money. And I'd like to see what we've gotten. We've approved money, but I think this is adding a little bit more, if I'm not mistaken.
It's not.
It's not? I would like to see something for our money before we approve the deadline on it. I want to know a little bit more, and are some of our questions from council being answered, and not just dictated, we want a new fire station, so make it work and make the evidence go that way. I want to know if there are some other solutions, possibilities. For our feasibility is supposed to go through all kinds of things, and I would like to see a little bit that this is working, that it's like we're almost at a year and I haven't seen much. And so I would like to have some answers, or at least a short presentation on why it's going to take another year and what all have they decided. You know, what did the traffic pattern say? What did this say? So I would like to, it's not time sensitive right now, that I can see that putting it off another month. So that's why I would like to also, that's why I second it. I'd like to see it postponed just for another month and have someone here from the company that can answer a few questions.
So the
Thank you, Mrs. Munns. Let me go to Mr. Armberg.
Thank you. I made that motion because I have thoroughly read the report and have had extensive conversations with our fire chief, and I still have a number of questions that should be asked of the consultants and get answers from the consultant. I'm not talking at this time about terminating the contract. I have a number of questions at this particular time, and it is time sensitive to get this information now before we proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Armberg. Ms. Heisen?
just to summarize, so I'm hearing that right. The question is, we want to see what the feasibility report says so far.
Yeah, just
Okay.
a snippet, just something.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just asking.
I got it. Continue on.
No, that was my question.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Munns, and you have
No
further
No,
comments?
sir, thank you.
Mr. Armberg?
The report is right here, and apparently the rest of the council have received this report, as I've been informed. But there are a number of questions that the report does not address that I have. And to do our due diligence, I would really like to speak with the consultants in a public setting.
Thank you, Mr. Armberg. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, let's put this on a vote. There's motion on the floor. Would you like me to repeat the motion?
Please.
The motion is consent agenda item 4F be postponed and be placed on the February 21, 2017 agenda, and that the fire department consultant, FEHR and PEERS, be present to answer council members' question regarding their report. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No?
The motion passed. Now for consent agenda 4D, Mrs. Muntz.
Thank you. In my opinion, it's a little snippet, and it said that you don't need to certify being 65 anymore with the city clerk, but it didn't give the alternative, so for dog and cat licensing. So I just sort of wanted to know a little more information. I know they have a plan, I just thought it'd be nice instead of just having the snippet in our agenda item and we just say, yep, we pass it. A little more information, please, from our finance director.
Good, thank you.
When we were looking at the rates, the master fee schedule, one of the things that came up was this current wording. We don't send our seniors into the clerk to be certified that they're a senior. We look at their ID. So we just wanted to remove something that we are not doing so that what we're doing matches what code says.
Would that be?
That's fine that they have another plan. It just didn't mention it, and it just, it's like, oh, wow, this is good. Everybody's going to go in there and say, hey, I'm 65, don't I look at this? Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you,
Saul.
Finance Director.
Now, I hear a motion to approve that? agenda.
Yes, I move that we approve consent agenda 4D.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Muntz, seconded by Ms. Wassinger to approve consent agenda 4D. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passed. Move on to item number 5. This is the mayor, council, and staff comments. Starting with the mayor comments. I have here a note. It's about the new artwork which is posted here in the council chambers, right on the wall. And there's a letter here from Kit Christopherson. He is an Oak Harbor High School arts educator, Oak Harbor Arts Commissioner, and OHEA building representative. He wrote, I have enjoyed engaging with the city through both my classroom and the Arts Commission. Your continued support of the arts is always appreciated. In doing so, open pathways of expression and experience, but maybe more importantly, it can help inspire people to ideas and innovation. Art should trigger that what if thought and help to create unique visions and goals that may define our future Oak Harbor. And he made description of the picture starting from the left. This is the Boy Blue created by Aubrey James, the Boy Blue in watercolor. The next one is My Face in Pointillist charcoal by Alex Amick. The third one is Circle Work in Color Pencil by Laura Rodeheffer. The fourth one is Strings in Color Pencil by Belinda Larcena. The fifth one is Sleepless City in Ink by William Danielson. The sixth one is Hands of Death in Charcoal by Lindsay Bierbauer. The seventh one, Made at Home in Acrylic, created by Marie Kelly. And the last one is Modern Cleopatra in cut paper, created by Catherine Lins. So I enjoy the artwork from Oak Harbor High School. The next one is council members. Any comments from the council members? Mrs. Muntz?
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to the Methodist Church and the Homeless Coalition for having another conversation today, the Methodist Church at 1 o'clock. And it is opening up some ideas and spearheading. I know, are we going to? Anyway, wanted to say thank you to that group to continue that. And also, time of year, having to do with homelessness at many churches in town or Starbucks by Safeway. They're collecting children coats for the homeless kids in our school district. So gently used or a new coat, if you happen to find one, pick it up. Please drop it off either at Starbucks or pretty much any number of churches. Methodist Church just right up here or over there is collecting them, and we are making sure they get out to the school, different schools, so that kids who need a coat will have one and aren't embarrassed to ask for one. So we're going to take care of it. It's a little something that we can do. And also, Help House can always use, you know, just a couple of dollars. They can help provide a meal for someone. So don't forget, we need to be sure our community that everyone has a hot meal and something to send their kids to school with. So please don't forget. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Muntz. Any other comment? Mrs. Heisen? Miss Heisen, I'm sorry.
Whatever. I answered whatever. I just wanted to thank those of you who attended the Windjammer Park open house last week, and those of you who might not have been able to be there in person but are contributing online. I was really, really pleasantly surprised at the turnout. And we got lots of really good questions, lots of really good suggestions. And for those of you who haven't seen the mailer and gone to participate online, I'm sure Joe probably knows the website by heart, but it's a really good opportunity to give us your opinion on kind of the style and the feel of the new park features. So thanks to those who came out, and we hope to hear from a lot more. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Heisen. Any further comments? If not, let me go to our city administrator, Dr. Douglas Merriman.
Thank you, Mr. Pagel. A couple of items for you to mark on your calendars. Next Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we have our city council workshop. We're putting the agenda together for that. That will be preceded with the city's investment committee. For those of you that serve on that committee, I believe an email went out today with the packet and the information and all that. A couple of updates on things we're working on. We are involved in the classification and compensation study for the non-represented positions in the city right now. Today was a milestone day. We had everybody doing their job description reviews, having those reviewed and turned in, and today the representative from McGrath and Associates was here to start going through the job descriptions and talking with department heads and myself about what we want to see in the study and how we're going to move forward from here. So that'll be progressing. We'll have a second on-site visit coming up soon with some of their initial recommendations on how we go forward with the study, and we'll be letting council know what those steps will be and talking further about that. On the other side of our labor spectrum there, the labor negotiations we have are all in process right now. We actually have the fire department's contract under negotiation. We have the Teamsters, which there are two. There's a Public Works Teamsters and the Marina Teamsters. Those are also in process and making progress at this time. The remaining two units that we have are the Police Department Commission and the Police Department Non-Commission. They're in the final year of their contracts, so we'll be looking at those later this fall and starting up negotiations on those. The other thing that I have is for us to be thinking about a city council retreat. Last year we had done one of those. I talked with Mayor Severns this last week about it. We're looking at some time in April. So if you have potential calendar dates that might work, please send me an email and let me know on that. And then also we'll be probably asking you for information on how you would like that to be, the format of that meeting. What things we want to talk about, and there might be a period of time we have the department heads attend as well, and we can have some good conversations on things that we're doing this next year. And then finally, I'm going to give you just a first quick update on the marathon. We're starting to get our initial numbers in. Remember, this year we're working with Orswell Events under a different model on how we're managing the marathon. It's been working well. We're well into the supplies acquisitions on T-shirts and metals and those types of things. And as of the 13th of January, we have 893 registrants. I don't have the breakdown per race. Last year, at the very same time, we had 734. So we're about 30% ahead on registrations. And as far as our revenue stream, we're at 46,000 has come in so far. This time last year, we were at 31,000. So we're about 45 to 50% ahead on the revenue side of it. So we've got a good launch on the marathon event right now. And then Orswell will be preparing some presentations now on a more steady basis and getting those to City Council so you can see how that's progressing this year. And then as always, I have my last item. We have Joel Stoll, or if Brett is here. Old habits die hard here. But we'll have Brett to give you some information on an update for the treatment plant.
And here is, excuse me, Mr. Brett Arvidson, our city project engineer.
Our presentation up and okay, we can go ahead and get started. This is our normal project update. We fly our site every month, and we actually had a very nice flight day. This is on the 2nd of January. And while it looks so nice and clear, it was also very, very cold. So we've been doing cold water concreting for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And as soon as we start getting warm weather, we got enough wind coming in today that we had to shut the crane down. So, but we're getting through it. Recent activities, as Councilmember Heisen said, we did have an open house on January 12th at Skagit Community College. Quite well attended. I was quite pleased with what we saw, and the design team is taking back a lot of feedback and getting that into the design. Right now, they're preparing the 30% Windjammer Park design. We expect to have that at the end of March and have a presentation to council so you can kind of see where things are going with it. And we'll take it from there. After end of March, it is get the plans and drawings out because we hope to bid this thing in the fall. We have continued work on our SCADA software development. Construction, we're continuing to place concrete. I think we're about 67 out of 210 pours. Last week we kept on schedule, but with the weather, it's been a struggle. We're still ahead of schedule and below our but we have completed demolition of the RBC plant, so the pounding that's been going on will stop, and we're filling the holes. We still have some more site work to do on it, but that's there. But now that we've got the pounding stopped, we're going to bring the stone columns in, so that'll be noisy for a while. And we have prepared GMP amendment number 11. That'll be presented at a later agenda item. Starting to sound a bit repetitious here, but 2 weeks ago we did discover human remains. We're able to resolve the issues without major impacts to the city using our MOA process, excuse me. This is our 4th set of remains since October. So unfortunately, our archaeological services contingency is pretty well depleted, so we'll probably be coming back with an amendment for that. But we have gotten through a lot of problems without major impacts to construction. We're not out of the woods yet. Funding, nothing new on that front, but we are starting to pursue Windjammer Park fundings. There's a variety of things that we want to pursue, so we're kind of developing a team approach to that and where we want to chase money. Anybody has any ideas, please let us know. Nikki there, I think, has worked on a splash grant for us. Schedule-wise, moving forward with that, keeping things on the project timeline. We're still looking at completion summer 2018. Our public information in the Windjammer Park online survey is available at oakharborcleanwater.org. ocarb.org. There is a tab for there which will take you directly to it. I tested it out myself. You can always call our project number at 914-7000 or call our direct line numbers. Email us at treatmentplant@ocarb.org. And I forgot to change our next open house is actually next Monday, the 23rd. So we'll get that changed around. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Albertson. Any comments, questions for us? Mr. Bates?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I also want to chime in and thank Ms. Heisen for bringing up the open house. I'm looking at the site. It's not overly easy to find, the online survey.
Yeah.
So if you do go to ocarborcleanwater.org, click on the Windjammer Park tab, or you can go directly, it's windjammerpark.participate.online. Please give feedback. There was a decent turnout. It was a good turnout, but considering we're a city of 22,000 people, we'd like more input. So windjammerpark.participate.online. Thank you.
And we are working on making that a little more brighter.
Mrs. Munn?
Thank you. But it's pretty amazing, that big pile of dirt, and to see these trucks that look like little match car trucks running around and dumping stuff down to others. It's very little, but it's slowly going away, but it's pretty incredible. I never thought I'd see match car trucks on top running around that big pile of dirt, but it's fascinating. You spend a lot of time just gazing, watching the equipment.
Yeah, eventually I'll bring in, I was actually looking at our aerial photos from the start of the project, and it's kind of interesting sequence. I'll bring it in sometime.
Ms. Heisen?
I'm just getting peppered with questions tonight. Okay, so this might be a silly question, but if we've demolished the RBC plant and we've turned the lagoons back over to the Navy, what are we doing with our wastewater?
Our wastewater, if there's still that one pump station remaining, that's the existing structure. That was the diversion pump station, so that will remain in place and pumping to the lagoons until the point we're ready to.
Okay.
And the Navy notice was a 2-year notice, so we had to give them 2 years notice.
Gotcha.
So we've got 2 years from 1st of January to get out of there. So
That makes sense. So we're still using the lagoons and the pump station
we'll
for
continue
now.
to use the lagoons,
Okay.
and when we start to plan up, we'll be intermittent for a while we get it going.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments, questions? If not, we'll proceed to the next item. Agenda item 8A, and this is the Clean Water Facility General Contractor, Construction Manager, and GMP Amendment Number 11.
Okay, this is GMP number 11 for our Hoffman Construction. The numbers are getting large, double digits. This is for what we call our superstructure construction. Previously, we called it non-process construction. It consists of the administrative and maintenance buildings, also consists of the above-ground superstructure, walls, roofs, and ceilings of the headworks building, the membrane building, the biosolids building, the blower electrical area. We bid this job as 20 packages, and I'll talk a little more about the bid results in a second. We've also put in some allowances for various things, windows, security systems, odor control blowers, and something else. It also includes installing stone columns. Back in GMP number 4, we had the stone column bid, and we let that, but in that bid, we actually had the extension for the services here. So this price for the stone columns is based on pricing from back in November. Also includes our negotiated support services and general conditions. I'll talk more about that in a second. So if you think about the superstructure construction, it's basically all the above ground structures we have on the facility here. It also includes the windows, the doors, a lot of miscellaneous items. Normally in a regular contract, we would just see this as one lump sum, but actually we have 20 packages of it. Again, this is the south view of it. As I said, we did put out 20 packages out for bid. Bid results were somewhat checkered. We received multiple bids on 8 packages. We received 1 bid on 7 of the packages. On 5 of the packages, we received no bids at all. We had a local contractor successful on 3 of the bid packages. And looking at our bid results, we think most of that was due to, right now, the packages of the size were pretty much too large for people local to bid on. We had local competition. And it was kind of too small, and we're too far away for some of the more regional contractors to come, because right now there's a very busy market in Seattle. I heard there was like 17 tower cranes up, by the way. So while we were a little disappointed in the results, we feel that that's probably the best we can do. Things have really gotten busy. By the way, I have Trevor and Kay here to help. So looking at our bids, we decided that we're moving forward with all the packages with the multiple bids. We did review the single bids, making sure that they were cost competitive, and we were getting a good price, and we were comfortable with moving forward with those 2. Unfortunately, the bid results were about $2 million over what we estimated budget-wise. We've had good bids up to date. Unfortunately, we got one that wasn't quite so good, but in the overall, we're doing well. The packages without bids, we are putting them into the contract as an allowance, and on a self-performed basis, we'll go through additional procurement steps and do cost validation for those as per the RCW. This is actually in your bid package, but this shows all the packages that we did and all the subcontractors and allowances. Cost of work is about $17 million, and some change. In the GMP number 11, the direct costs, bids and allowances were $17,900,000 in rough numbers. Negotiated support services is $1.5 million. That does take us through December of 2018. Risk contingency and owner's contingency is right around $900,000. Well, actually, it's closer to $1 million. Specified general conditions is $561. That closes out our specified general conditions line item. And the fee on top of all that is $903,000. And with the sales tax at $1.9 million, it's just $23,900,000 and some change. This is GMP number 11, and our total cost of work to date is $98 million. So we've done a lot of work. We have a lot to do. And our recommended action is to authorize the mayor to sign the AI document we have in the amounts with Hoffman Construction for superstructure. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Albertson. Before I go to the City Council for question and comment, let me open the floor for any comments from the public. I will now open the floor for any comments on agenda item 8A, Clean Water Facility, GMP number 11. Second call. Third call. Public comment period is closed for this agenda item. Now let me go to the council. Any question, comments? Mr. Umber.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Brett, excuse me, Mr. Everson. This is not the...
My sermon with my dad.
Sorry about that. Could you go back about a couple of slides right there where you had the breakdown that showed the summary right there?
Yes.
So we have on the risk contingency, and we also have the owner's 2% contingency, 5.5% contingency money that we have been accumulating from the very beginning of this project.
Yes.
Correct. We're still treating that as committed money, but it is not spent money.
That's
and
correct.
may not be spent, correct?
We have not spent, our contingency to date has been actually very stable because we've been able to put as much money back into the contingency as we've taken out. So we're pretty, if we're maybe 10,000 of our contingency has been used, and it's probably, right now, we have probably $5 million sitting in that contingency account.
Right, which we don't necessarily have to
We-
spend unless there's some big surprise.
Right.
And we're getting past surprises. The risk is going down.
Yes, and
Correct.
I did mention in my last presentation that we still have some risk going on.
Yeah, okay. Well, because when I saw the previous slide up there, but these bids on this particular section was about $2 million more than what was expected in the preliminary estimate.
Yeah.
And I was also pleased to see in that breakdown that we have a local contractor that got about 3.5 plus or minus
Yes.
$1 million work out of that. And I'm happy to see that because our people are the ratepayers too.
Yes, and we're hoping to have more conversations on some of these allowance items with them too.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Alberg. I can see in the audience representative from Hoffman Construction, Mr. Trevor Thies, did I say right? And KBA, Mr. Adams, right there. So any question for the council? Mr. Shabratis?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just a generic question. Some of these, going through the bid packages, some of them are fairly competitive, very close. Finished carpentry, trim, cabinets is close. Then you look at some of them, like paint, I think was the one I was just looking at. They're 100% different. So when you go through and verify, I mean, it's not just the dollar amount, but especially as a percentage, over $1 million difference. How do we put us at ease that if we're selecting the low bidder, that they're truly all-encompassing and it's going to be the work that we need?
We feel the document, the bidders bid the documents. We feel our documents are complete. When you look at, it is a competitive bid price, and sometimes you get spreads in them. The painter that we actually have as low bidder has a lot of experience with Hoffman, and they were very pleased to actually see their price there. So, again, we're in the public bidding business, and we live and die sometimes by low bidders, but they also were given the opportunity to, we asked them, are you going to stand by your bid? If they want to back out. We did have one bidder on the roofing project was half everybody else, and he went back and checked his bid and realized he made a big blooper and backed out of that. So, we have good documents. The fact we had low contingency usage tells us our documents have been doing the job, and that's the risk we take. But that one doesn't bother me very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shabratis. Any further question, comments from the council? Not, I entertain a motion for the recommended action. Ms. Eisen?
I move to approve the recommended action as presented.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Heisen, seconded by Mr. Servatius, to authorize the mayor to sign AIA document A133, 2009 Exhibit A, GMP number 11, in the amount of $22,023,790 plus sales tax of $1,916,070 with Hoffman Construction for superstructure construction. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Albertson. The next item is 8B. This is the City of Anacortes Water Agreement to be presented to us by Dr. Merriman.
Thank you, Mr. Pagao and City Council. Agenda Bill 8B is the new water supply agreement with the City of Anacortes. And I will get to my PowerPoint here. And there we go. Okay. Just a little bit of information about what this agreement is and why we have an agreement with Anacortes for those that may be watching. Right now, the city of Anacortes purchases water from the city of Oak Harbor purchases water from the city of Anacortes water system. We are considered one of their wholesale customers. We buy water at a rate that is given to their wholesale class of different entities that buy water from them. The water source where we get our water is from the Skagit River just west of Mount Vernon and Burlington. Sometimes if you're driving to Mount Vernon on the old Division Highway and right around Avondale Road there, you look to the left, you'll see a big building that says City of Anacortes on it, which looks funny because you're in Mount Vernon. But that's actually their water treatment plant that's right on the Skagit River on the other side of that dike that's right there. Water is piped from that source point to Oak Harbor to two different connector points that we have. We have a 24-inch line that connects at Sharp's Corner, and then we have a second one that's called the 10-inch or 16-inch line that's just north of the Deception Pass Bridge. So we have water source that comes through those two lines. We have interties between them for different reasons, for water to quality, and we can actually shut down a piece of line at one point if we need to do repairs, and we can do those interties to move water between the lines. Other customers that work with Anacortes are the town of LaConner, Skagit PUD, the tribes through the Swinomish Utility Authority, and then the big customer there are the Shell and Tesoro refineries. So when we talk about the water agreement, how do we end up paying as a city? There are two different pieces that are involved in what we pay to the city of Anacortes. One, we have variable operating costs that are paid. It's one piece of our price that we pay. These are things that change a lot with the amount of water purchased or the water that they're processing at the plant. So it could include things such as salary and benefits, treatment materials, things that go into the water that's being treated, and some of their allocated overhead costs. The second piece of that rate is for our capital or fixed cost percentage. These are things for like large capital equipment purchases or bond payments. Those things are rather steady from year to year, and it has its own rate component in our overall price that we pay. Now, one of the reasons why we have talked with the city of Anacortes about a new agreement is the way that they charge us. And in the past, we were operating under a very old agreement that was pretty cumbersome. Under that previous methodology, how it would work is Anacortes would call each of its customers, wholesale customers, each year and say, how much water do you think you're going to use this year? And we would throw a dart and try to average out what we were seeing and give them a number. Anacortes would go back, do their budget, and come up with a rate that they would charge us that they felt would approximate what we would do during the year. For many years, it was actually pretty close. Sometimes we had to send them a check for a little bit of extra money. Sometimes we got a check back from them. But we noticed over the last several years the large amount of variances that we had at the end of the year. Many times it would have to do with the refineries. Their water consumption would fluctuate depending what their business was going on at the time. What that would do is, since they were such a large piece of the pie of being the payments going out, that if they had a big change, everything shifted over to the rest of us. And so one year we might pay $1 amount. The next year I could get an extra bill at the end of the year for $200,000, which is a lot. Sometimes that was 20% of what we purchased for the year. So after some talks with the city of Anacortes, we said we have to do something different. And that would also include that true-up at the end of the year where they reconciled to actual costs. That made it hard for us. There were times when we were trying to do rate projections and we would get it down, city council would pass our rate ordinance, and then we would get the letter from Anacortes saying you have your year-end variance. For a few years there, we did not get the reports. And within about a 6-month period of time, they got a new consultant who did their calculations, and we got 4 years worth of true-ups within a 6-month period, and they were all large ones. And that's, I think Anacortes realized the impact that was having on their customers, so they actually came forward and started proposing a new agreement that has a new methodology. And the goal that we wanted to do is try to level out that billing variance that we got. So what this new contract incorporates is really 3 different things. One is that initial estimate we do that we pay during the year. That's going to be based on a 3-year rolling average of the amount of water that we purchased in each of those years. Rather than just throwing that dart and trying to guess what we're going to do, we're going to actually use something that's measurable and try to do something that makes sense. This allocation methodology, it'll apply to both pieces, both the operating side and the capital charges side. And then at the end of the year, Anacortes will true up like they did before. One of the things that we actually had them put into the contract was a 12-month requirement that those true-ups have to be to us in a timely manner. We don't want to have those accumulate up and then we get a $500,000 surprise at some point. And they were very accommodating to do that. So the benefits of all of this, one is the new method will use that 3-year average. That's going to level out our billings. It will also level out our rate impact, so we're not coming back and having to move rates up and down all the time. The true-ups will be in a timely manner, which helps us in budgeting and planning. And there's also a provision in there that's not so much for us, but it's for the refineries. And so there's a requirement for the refineries to give notice to the city of Anacortes when they're doing large changes in their consumption, so it doesn't surprise the rest of the users. And then just a couple of items on the contract. The term is roughly 20 years. It'll go until December 31st of 2036. We can negotiate in interim periods during the time of that contract. And if we had another water source or there was any changes we wanted to do, we could terminate the contract with a 3-year notice, and that goes both directions. So there's not really a billing impact to this. This is more the structure of how rates are calculated and the noticing works and those things. It should make the process a lot smoother than it's been in past years. So our recommended action tonight is to authorize the mayor to sign the City of Anacortes, Washington Water Supply Agreement for 2017 through 2036.
Thank you, Dr. Merriman. Before I go to council for comments and questions, let me open the floor for any comments from the public. Floor is now open for comment on agenda item 8B, City of Anacortes Water Agreement. Second call? Third call. The floor is now closed for public comment. Now comments, questions from the council? Mr. Gervais?
Thank you. More of a generic comment you may or may not be able to answer off the cuff, but just when we talk about the growth of NAS, which relates to growth for Oak Harbor, capacity, is water ever a concern? Is that going to be a limiting factor? Are we at 50% of the possible capacity that they can push through that pipe? Or are we at?
Yeah, a few years back, I negotiated a 1 billion gallon a year capacity estimate on that. We usually run these days probably around 700 million gallons to that. So we run anywhere in the upper 60s to low 70% on capacity. We can go back to Anacortes for planning purposes and give them a change in that number at any time. Okay. So what they would probably prefer is that if we could give them about a year's notice on something substantial, that would be good.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, Mr. Umberg?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just make the motion then, if that's okay. Sure. Make the motion that we authorize the mayor to sign the City of Anacortes, Washington Water Supply Agreement 2017 to 2036.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Umberg, seconded by Ms. Heisen, to authorize the mayor to sign the City of Anacortes, Washington Water Supply Agreement 2017 through 2036. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion passed. Thank you, Dr. Merriman. The next item is 10A, and this is the 6-month review of the local public house conditions of approval. It will be presented to us by our police chief, Kevin Drexler.
Hi, thank you. And thanks for sticking around. That wind's wicked out there. So I'm here at agenda item number 10A, which is the 6-month review of the locale public house conditions of approval. And I don't think I have any slides that I'm aware of. Okay. So on July 5th of 2016, the City Council approved an application from the locale for a nightclub license and set some conditions of approval. And they also set for this to be reviewed on tonight's council meeting. As part of that, the location that it went into was, and it was prior to my time, but I know that there was another business in there at the time that had issues. The locale went into that location, these conditions were set. So as part of this, I went in and looked at pulled calls to the location and around the location. And they opened up in September of 2016. And from that time till January 11th, there were only 10 calls. And really only 3 or 4 of them were calls of some kind of a disturbance. Parked car was another one. There's assorted calls like that. So not much. And it did not show undue concern to the police department or the city. The owner of the establishment, or the one running the establishment, Mr. Dyer, has been very responsive with officers, with myself when I called. Also, I think on your packet you see that he's in the process of renewing his license, but I believe that's been obtained already. He's renewed his license for that. So the only thing that staff recommends is that the conditions of approval be extended for an additional 6 months with another review. And that's changed on the conditions of approval. I think you have the packet, and it's highlighted in red, at least on mine, which just provides for another 6-month review. I know the owner is hopefully experiencing good business and wants to improve upon that. I think they're looking at maybe some occupancy increases and maybe some alteration of business. That's something they'll have to, take care of, but I know there's been mention of that. So the staff recommendation is the approval of the amended conditions of approval with another review to occur 6 months from the authorization of this extension. And I think that's about it.
Thank you, Chief Director. At this time, let me open the floor for any public comments. The floor is now open for public comment. Is Mr. Dyer here this evening?
I've only talked to him on phone, so I haven't met him.
Like to make comment?
Sir, how you doing, council members? I'm Mark Chapoul. I'm the other owner of Local Public House. And as the police chief mentioned, we are looking at a little bit of occupancy issue. We're not trying to raise it extravagantly, but we can have up to 30-ish of our own personnel in the building, on busy nights, things of that nature. So we want to look at that, things like 4th of July, New Year's Eve, something like that. We want to basically look at that in the future, but we're not presenting that right now, and I think that's why we're okay with the 6-month additional review period, and then look at that again. With that, the other thing is right now the city ordinance talks about if you have access to alcohol and pool tables, then that is a billiard hall, and so that's the other thing. Those are the two things that we want to look at. My personal opinion, a dad shooting pool with his 18-year-old son is not evil. So anyway, those are the two things that we're looking at. Nothing major, nothing big, and that's why we want to ask that we do another review in 6 months, show that we're good stewards of the space, and we want to be this town's local public house, as we stated before, and that anytime there is some sort of an issue, that both Corey and myself or our staff are very quick to deal with that issue and involve law enforcement when we need to, which in our mind is practically every single time, just to make sure that everybody's covered from the business owner's perspective and from the customer's perspective and patrons. So unless there's any questions for me, I just figured I'd step up since you asked if Corey was here, because I'm the other half of Corey.
Good. Thank you. Have any questions for Mr. Go ahead, Mr. Servetus.
Not so much a question, a comment. Once again, I appreciate the efforts you guys have put in down there. I've been down there to eat. I actually shot pool the other day. It was in the afternoon. I thought it was my own private pool hall because it was nice and sleepy. It was very pleasant. The only question, and also kudos, there aren't any residents here at this meeting tonight, so you're obviously making great progress there. We've not gone through the summer months, which I know was one of the issues just as far as noise. A lot of the folks across the street sleep with windows open, as most of us in Oak Harbor do in the evenings, in the summer nights. I completely approve 6 months. I'm curious if we could go to 9 months maybe, and then get through the summer season, and then make a better informed decision. If we went and gave this 3 more months and review it in 9 months, then we will have gone through a full summer season. maybe have a little more feedback. That would be my only thought on this.
Thank you, Mr. Surprise. Any other questions, comment? Yes, Mr. Wasinger.
Thank you. I too have visited and had a nice experience there at the bar. But I also wanted to bring up something that we talked about in the initial approval of your license, and that was lowering the speed limit on Bayshore in front of your business. I know it was discussed briefly in that meeting, and talked about lowering it to 25. I know we talked about a lot of pedestrian activity going on and how that may help safety in that area. So I'm not prepared to make a motion at this point to do that, but it's something that I've thought about periodically since that time 6 months ago. So maybe it's something that we could just be prepared in the future to see how we could look at that or what all that entails. That was something that I've been thinking about. So, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wasinger. Ms. Hyson?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I need a shorter microphone like Beth does. First of all, I want to congratulate Mark and Corey for doing such a great job. It was really encouraging to see that there had only been 10 calls for service and that some of those actually came from you guys at the restaurant asking the cops to come to you as opposed to people sending them to you. So that's really encouraging, and you guys have a great operation going. So congratulations. It's nice to have your addition to town. The suggestion of extending the current operating agreement to get through the summer, if we were to extend that 9 months, would there be anything to preclude them from looking at occupancy issues or other uses?
Well, they'd have to do that through the city and the
Right.
fire department, of course, with occupancy. I think their occupancy allows them a higher occupancy as far as the building and the structure goes, but that wouldn't be through us. It would be through the business license and all that kind of stuff. But, and then I don't know if part of the review is, I know their parking lot and stuff, and you talked about speed because parking sometimes on Friday and Saturday can fill up the lot. So I think some of that flows out onto the street in parallel parking. So I don't know if that becomes an issue. And summer months are, I think, from what I know here, are the peak months where you're going to be able to find some of those things out like you're talking about with the 9 month instead of a 6. But I can't necessarily answer that question directly for you there.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Alberg.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm going to support this action also. I've had good experiences there. Food is good, atmosphere is good, service is good, the customers are good. It's a lot of fun down there, really it is. And so therefore, I'd like to make a motion. If you're prepared for that, I would like to make a motion that we approve the amended conditions of approval with another review to occur in 9 months from the authorization of this extension.
Second.
Moved and seconded, moved by Mr. Umberg, seconded by Ms. Wasinger, to approve the amended conditions of approval with another review to occur 9 months from the authorization of this extension. I just have a question on the, Dr. Merriman, staff recommendation says 6 months, and the motion made, that'll be good. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passed. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Dresker, Chief Dresker. Thank you. Moving to the next item, the last item on agenda item 11, executive session. The council will go into executive session. Let me ask the legal counsel, City Attorney Nick Esparza, how much time do we need
10 minutes, Mr. Pagel?
for the executive session?
10 minutes?
About 10 minutes. Yeah, thank you. The City Council will go executive session for approximately 10 minutes.
It's freezing right here.
That was warm in there.
And it's
That
loud.
was nice warm in there.
The City Council is back in session. We just completed an executive session and no action was taken during the executive session. I think that concludes our agenda, Bill. Mr. Cervantes?
Thank you, Mayor. If no one else says anything, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Move by Mr. Cervantes, seconded by Ms. Hyson, to adjourn the meeting. Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Meeting is, that's it.
Thanks, Danny.